All right. So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary, and I'm here with my beautiful wife. Say hi, boo.
Hi everyone, this is Akdi. I'm from Turkey, and today we are reviewing, I guess, one of the most prominent black movies.
Yeah, from this era. This is a 90s classic, Love Jones, which is a 1997 romantic dramedy. I don't think it's a comedy. Did you find anything funny in it?
Maybe just the conversation between friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say it's more of a dramedy.
Yeah, it's more dramedy. And this is a film that was directed and written by a black director named Theodore Witcher. He only made 2 films, this one and Body Count. This was his first film. It only cost $7 million to make, but it made a profit of $12 million. And this film has gone on to become a cult classic in the black community. And yeah, we watched it last night because I thought it would be a cozy, nice, nostalgic film to watch. Recently, there was a commercial that went viral of the 2 main actors, Nia Long and Larenz Tate, reviving their roles for a Walmart commercial where it's like, oh, Love Jones 20 years later. And I was like, okay, that's too cute. I got to rewatch this film. So yeah, I enjoyed it again last night. There are some things in it that as an adult now I look back and I'm like, whoa, that was wild. The 90s were a different time. But yeah, I enjoyed it. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it as well. Like, I love a good, like, romance movie, dramedy. I love a good one. And this felt very cozy, very, like, culturally eclectic. And there was just, like, the imagery and the scenery of the overall movie was very nice. Like, it's a simple story, but I enjoyed it, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I would rewatch this when I feel down, when I need, like, some rom-com or just, like, romance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I liked it.
Yeah, it's a very simple story. So even though it's about a situationship before the term even existed, like it is a movie where at the end the 2 people do find each other and find love in each other, but they go through drama that feels very real. Like it isn't a fantastical situation that they're in. It's a situation that I've probably been in, you've probably been in, and other people have definitely been in, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely relatable in that sense, I would say. Like, you can recall your past relationships as you watch it. So in that sense, it's like, it feels very near and dear to your heart, I think.
Yeah. And I think also a lot of people have love for this film because it shows like black love in like a safe and caring space where black people are speaking freely and honestly about their emotions and showing a variety of black faces and types and also giving us representation that looked good in media. And I think that's why a lot of people love that 90s era of blackness because you had like Waiting to Exhale, The Wood, Best Man, Love Jones, so many movies that, you know, showed us in our full glory and complexity.
Yeah, it's like I think also a lot of, especially black people, appreciate this because it shows like the middle to higher income black youth, right? Or like adults in big cities and how they deal with work and relationships. And yeah, so I think that's why also I think it was a big hit.
Yeah. It was, there's a term for that, and I didn't know this term existed until I was much older, but they're called buppies. Have you ever heard this phrase, buppies?
No.
Black urban upper class, something like that.
Yeah.
People. Black urban upper class people, something like that. And so buppies is like the term for this. And like, yeah, a lot of other black films showed like black people in the hood, black people in the ghetto, baby mamas, gangsters and shit like that. So there's like a refreshing vibe to this that feels safe and comfortable while you watch this
celebrating
story.
Like instead of all the other like tragic stories that we usually see on the screen, this one, like, on the contrary, just celebrates black love, black culture, black people without having to deal with those like more serious issues.
Now, because this film is so black, as somebody said on Letterboxd before we turned on this review, am I being too nice to this film because it is such a warm black film? Because I'm gonna be honest, if this was full of like alabaster people, the cream colored complexion Caucasians running around this joint doing slam poetry and having situationships, I'd be like, this is so trash. Am I being too nice to it because of what it is?
No, because here's my like defense on it, is that I would recommend this movie to my girlfriends who are Turkish people who would be considered white to an extent, right? And I think they would also love this movie just because it's like a chill romance movie, and I think they would appreciate the blackness of the movie as well. So yeah,
Right,
I don't
right.
think that's specific to you, but I think you would have a special appreciation for it.
Okay.
basically.
Well, thank you for making me feel comfortable liking this movie. But I think also your friends might appreciate it because a big part of this film is poetry, specifically like that jazz club, slam poetry, spoken word, mixed with like African drum beats that was very popular like in the late 90s and sort of culminated in its like mainstream appeal with like Def Poetry Jam. And like after we watched this film, we were like so caught up in like the poetry and the jazz of this, we ended up watching like some Def poetry and like reciting poetry to each other. And that's what I think a good film can do. It might not make you like think too deeply about the story, but it might want you to explore another cultural thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. If you're interested in like artsy things and if you appreciate those things, any type of art, because yeah, it has like poetry, but it also has photography. And in terms of like cinematography, it's also very good. So yeah, I think a lot of people might appreciate it for that reason as well. Like honestly, I feel like my friends, at least like the Turkish woman that I know, would appreciate this more than like a gangster movie or a crib movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think this movie has universal appeal because it is a universal story about love and the complexities of it in our modern day and age, right? This isn't your mom and dad's relationship time. But yeah, shout out to the actors who are in this joint. So we have quite a few all-stars. We have Larenz Tate as Darius Lovehall, Nia Long as Nina Mosley, Isaiah Washington as Savon Garrison, Lisa Nicole Carson as Josie Nichols, Bill Bellamy as Hollywood or Wood, Leonard Roberts as Eddie Coles, and Khalil Kane as Marvin Cox. What did you think about like the acting in this film?
I thought it was good. Like, it's not something I think in this movie you wouldn't say like, oh, the acting was really, really great. But I think overall, like, the acting was genuine and it was like convincing enough that you would think, okay, the relationships between those people are real. Like, you didn't feel that there wasn't any fakeness when it comes to acting.
I would disagree. I think the acting in this thing is fantastic because every kiss looks like the people really fucked. Like the way Nia Long and Larenz Tate are kissing, they kiss like they really were like clapping of cheeks in the trailers, you know what I mean, behind scenes. Like it's open mouth, tongue, biting lips, kissing necks and cheeks. I'm like, God damn, it's a little sexual in this thing. These are the most passionate French kisses I've seen on screen.
Yeah. In terms of the kisses and like the sexual scenes, I agree with you. But I was like thinking more overall. But yeah, definitely I think one of the best like on-screen kisses that we've seen.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get into this film, just walking through the story. It's not that complex. You know, the film takes place in Chicago. The movie opens up with like black and white images of the city and different people, the black Chicago. And by the way, Chicago is like one of the most segregated cities and one of the blackest cities in America. So they're showing like some of the urban decay and, you know, the different types of black people you'll see in the streets, the church folks, the street folks, the regular Joes, everybody like that. And so we're taken to this scene in an apartment where we're greeted with Nia Long's character, Nina, as she looks out the window in a white tank top with her nipples poking out. And her friend is helping her pack up her apartment. And she's moving out of this apartment and, you know, because she just broke up with her longtime boyfriend and her friend Josie is like there to comfort her and stuff like that. She ends up going to like this jazz club later that night with Josie to like have a drink and chill. And at this jazz club, they're doing like open mic poetry where we're introduced to the group of friends that who are the main characters also in the film. So we have Wood, we have Savon, we have, I believe, what was her name?
Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila is also in this group that Darius is also in, and they're like a group of like, you know, hip, cool, you know, poetic type people. At least Darius does poetry, and the bald guy, I forgot his name, Eddie. I think his name was Eddie. He did poetry as well. I think that's him. Yeah. Eddie does poetry, and so. At the bar, Nina is like at the bar when also Darius is there, and there's sort of like an awkward moment, and Nina is definitely, I feel like, wanting to get hit on. Like she just wants attention and affection, and Darius ends up like spilling the drink that she orders on him at the bar, and all his friends are looking like, oh, he fumbled the bag. He fumbled the bag on this beautiful woman. What did you think about those opening scenes?
I mean, the part where we are introduced to Nina at the very beginning, that's like somewhat conventional. But when we go into the bar scene, once again, like this film has so much culture, you immediately want to be in that setting.
Yeah.
Like in this movie, I was always thinking like, why don't we have the same places in Budapest? Like
we kind of do.
We saw like a reggae bar.
Go ahead.
Like
I didn't mean to interrupt.
In the movie, and then there's like this place where people, you know, do poetry and things like that, and like we go to some of those type of things, but it's like European white people performing like weird things.
It's not as much soul.
Yeah, it's like some of them are good, but most of them are like average.
Yeah,
I would say so. It's like this makes you want to be in that setting, basically, and that's how I felt watching like that. And I thought. When we're introduced to the friend group, they're talking about relationships and love. And that conversation was interesting because the group is also interesting because one of them is married. Another one is like in a relationship, Sheila, but like we never see her boyfriend. Darius is like this somewhat of a playboy and artistic poet guy.
Kind of sensitive guy, proto Drake.
Yeah. So
and Wood is like definitely the player. He's like, see, I take a girl and I make her scream.
Yeah, you know? He's like all talk and no action.
Yeah.
Basically, so it's like interesting to hear their takes on love and relationships. And and for Nina, like when they are introduced together with Darius, I would say like when you like end a long relationship, I feel like you feel like you want to be empowered. And since like when you end the relationship, usually like you end it on bad terms and you are made to feel less than you are. So you want some sort of validation from outside, especially as a woman. I think even unconsciously we depend on like validation from men a lot. So maybe like that's what she was looking for a little bit. I didn't think it was like overly obvious. But
I thought it was very obvious.
Enjoyed the attention.
The way they made it, it was like very obvious. Like she perched up on the bar like this and poked out her little chest in front of Darius.
I think she just knows that she's like a good-looking woman.
I mean, she knows she's Nia Long.
Yeah, like anyone would want to get with. So that's why I think like it was her confidence and not necessarily her enthusiasm.
Right. There's parts of this film that make me frustrated because Darius is like kind of coming across like this little shy guy with like no like swag or anything, and he's like, you know, trying to be like too cool with it. And that's what I think a lot of this film is about. Like when you say you're in the jazz bar, it seems like cool, fresh, you want to be there. This film is about a little bit of like being too cool because he messed up that first interaction with Nina by being too cool and like fumbling the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know like Darius's past, right? We don't know his relationships. We just know that he hasn't been in a long-term relationship, which screams commitment issues, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, but definitely like he does want to play cool, but at the same time, like he is interested in Nina.
Yeah, definitely.
And that creates like a disrupt of the communication, basically.
Right. Now, let me ask you about some of the fashion choices in this thing. First and foremost, Larenz Tate's hairline throughout this film. Darius's hairline is messed up throughout the entire thing. It's not edged up, but the back is straight. And on top of that, I got to ask you about Nina's dark lipstick. Most black women can't pull off dark lipstick. It's not a thing, but she made it work in this film, I feel like. What did you feel like about, the choices?
Okay, first of all, Darius's hairline, See, I'm not black and I'm not familiar with black hair, so I didn't notice. Like, it's, those things that only you would notice or, only your group would notice. It's one of those things. Like, I'm not bothered by it because I don't know about hairlines that well.
Look at Wood's hairline. See? Edged up.
No, when you point it out, I can see it. But it's like, it does not come to my head.
Okay.
Automatically. And about Nina, I think black women could pull off dark lipsticks, but maybe because I'm saying this because like now everything is more inclusive when it comes to makeup and makeup trends.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I definitely like Nina's all lip color choices because like later on she also has some like maroon lipsticks and stuff like that. Like everything was working, I think.
Right. Overall, the fashion choices I generally am cool with. I liked Nina's outfit when she was like wearing like this crop top vest with this big button down shirt. And I like generally the like, earth tone colors and the sweaters and the very dark leather jackets. Somebody said on Letterboxd they sourced every single leather jacket in Chicago. Like that makes sense. And I generally like the fashion. The big hats in the 90s though was not
berets?
a fan. Yeah, the big berets for the men and women. It was just insane.
I like big berets.
You like a big beret?
I
think you could pull it off. I can't pull it off. That would look insane on my bald head.
Yeah, I can. It would, but I like the berets. I like all of the fashion, like you said. Like this could be my new aesthetic.
Yeah. So anyway, Nina and Darius have their first interaction at the bar, and Nina leaves that interaction saying, this guy just messed it up. And Darius is going to the stage now to do poetry. And he does this very seductive poem called like, they call me brother of the night. I'm trying to be the blues in your left thigh and the funk in your right. And all the women just swoon. And the whole bar just liquid.
Everyone's drowning in pussy juice.
Everybody's drowning in pussy juice. And so they go outside, and Darius is hanging out with his homies, and Nina walks up with her friend Josie, and she's like, I liked your poem, but there's more in life than sex. And Darius says, like what? And so then Nina walks up to him like she's about to write her number down on his hand, but then ends up writing the word love, and then plays Darius in front of his group, and then walks away. What did you think of those scenes?
Darius's poem, not gonna lie, it got me a little wet.
Okay.
I like, there's something about a man who can like put seduction, sexuality, romance, and love into a poem. I think that was very impressive. And yeah, about like the later conversation that they had, I feel like if that happened today, it would be very cringe. But when it happened in the movie, it was okay. Yeah. And it sort of like defined the characters for us, where we see like Nina as someone who's looking for more something serious, and then Darius, who is like a bit of a playboy. Yeah.
I think, this film talks about that classic battle of the sexes. Men just want pussy, women want love. But they also make it a bit more interesting by these guys who are the sensitive writer types. They're still the same dogs underneath. And so Nina is sort of like, wary about that. You know what I mean? Like, you might seem like you're Mr. Sensitive and you're able to, think with your heart, but you're still a man who thinks with your dick. So I can't just fall all over you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I hate that narrative of like men are this and women are that, because I think as human beings, we both have all of it. Like, I think men could want and think about sex, but they also value romance and love and being loved and being cared for. Yeah. Same with women. Like, woman doesn't only care about romance, they also care about sex as well. So I think this is something that the movie does well, where these men, when they are in groups, they both talk about sex, but they also talk about love. Yeah. And relationships and marriage.
Yeah, because the movie opens up with a group of black people having this very deep discussion about love. Black men, mostly.
Even Wood, at some point, he says, like, I just want to cuddle sometimes. I just want someone to hold me.
But he's just joking. But
there's some truth to it.
There could be some truth in that, right? So, but anyway, after that interaction, it's Chicago, but they still are running into each other all the time. And so even though they split up that night, we get to find out more about Nina's life. She works as a photographer for this fashion designer, but she's not doing really well at her job. And Darius is like working on a book. He's a writer in between doing poetry and stuff like that. So there's one day when Nina goes to like this record store because, girl, she really needs an Isley Brothers CD. And so she's back there flipping through CDs. And then Darius walks in, and he's like, damn, that's that girl I saw the other day. So he like approaches her, and he starts playing like jazz records for her, and they start bonding over jazz. He tries to get her number, but she's still not having it. And so after Nina leaves, he is able to get her address from the check that she wrote to the CD store. And then he pops up at the CD store with the Isley Brothers CD that she wanted. What did you think about those scenes?
She pops up at her house, not the CD store.
Sorry, yes, he pops up at her house, not the CD store. He pops up at her house with the CD store that she wanted. He pops up at her house. He pops up at her house with the CD that she wanted from the store.
Okay, yes.
Okay, anyway, go ahead.
I mean, again, like there's that aesthetic around like art, music, and culture. I think the record store is like also a part of it. Mm-hmm. And like their friends, Sheila is like she owns the record store or she works at the record store. So that's like in addition to, the aesthetic of the movie. But first of all, like the playlist of the movie is fire. Yeah. And like all the music that they play in the movie is fire. And the artists that are like referenced in the movie are fire. It's like very, I think, a certain pop culture moment, but it's not as pop as, usual. Mm-hmm. But yeah, here Darius's behavior is kind of giving stalker vibes, especially like if you consider today's standards. But I guess at that time you don't have Facebook, you don't have Instagram, right. You can't really like follow up on social media, so it was like kind of Darius's only choice. You
really had to chase back then, but some people hate this movie just because of that scene or that part of the movie. What do you think? Is that a good reason to hate it?
And like I said, no, because it's not the same as today. Like we don't have those opportunities. For me, if I was Nina, I would definitely not invite him to my house. Because I'd be like scared.
You would mace him when he opened the door.
I wouldn't mace him.
What are you doing at my CD store?
But like I would open with the lock still on, like just talking from like the crack of the door. And then I would like say probably like, okay, if you want to meet, we can meet somewhere like in public and not like in my house. Yeah. I'd be low-key scared. Yeah. But I don't know, I guess like because she invited him to her crib, I feel like she was somewhat interested in him as well. And when compared to other movies, like there have been other movies where they sort of like sanction like date rape. Like those 80s, coming of age teen movies, there were some in them where the girl said no, and they ended up having sex. Yeah. So like this isn't as bad as people make it out to be. Also, like, I don't understand because when Darius asked for her address or phone number, his friend, Sheila, she said, like, I can't give it to you. Yeah. And then, like, how did he get it? Like, did he just, like, hit Sheila and, like, took it? What did he do? I think they never show that part. They don't exactly explain why, but I guess we could assume either Sheila, like, turned around and he, like, snatched it or, like, was able to piece it out by peering over. I don't know. Either way, that part of the film made me think this movie would be very interesting if told from Sheila's perspective, because she's friends with Darius, ends up knowing Nina, and is also friends with all these other guys who are problematic in their relationships. So it would be interesting to know how she feels about all this, being a girl in a group full of guys. Yeah, and also I feel like she's a girl's girl, because like she didn't share Nina's information. At least as far as we know. Mm-hmm. So, and she feels like a woman who is somewhat like very comfortable in her blackness, in her sexualness, in her womanhood, in like other scenes as well. Mm-hmm. I would definitely want like a Ashley Says So cover of Sheila for this movie. Right. There's a lot in this film that would make me feel like this would be a fire one season Netflix show. Yeah. Like how was that one season of like The Best Man, and they expounded on all those relationships. That's what they should do with this, but maybe with new actors,
but still keep it in the 90s. Don't put this in the 2014s. Like, we don't need this in, you know what I mean? Like,
we don't need text messages on screen.
Yeah, we don't need text message on screen. We need people showing up at cribs, stalking girls, coming through windows. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sending carrier pigeons with love letters. That's what we need.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if they did, like, remade a season of it with, like, new actors, but, like you said, still in the 90s.
Still in the 90s, man.
Because there's, like, a lot of interesting characters that are, like, not explored in the movie because there isn't enough time, maybe.
Yeah. It's only an hour 40.
Them. Yeah.
So, anyway, Darius shows up at Nina's house and she lets him in. She lives in a swanky, apartment that I believe she said she's, like, holding for somebody else. She didn't say that she actually lived there. I think she said, like, she was, like, house sitting while somebody else was gone. Which makes it even more crazy because she ended up clapping cheeks all over this house.
Wow, I missed that part.
But anyway, they end up, like, hanging out, and Nina ends up going on, like, a date with Darius to, like, his friend's house, and they're all having this big discussion about who is God and is God a woman. And Darius ends up saying, nah, brother, see, listen here, God has to be a woman because only a woman can make you feel the way you feel and brings you to this world, brother. And so, yeah, that was a cool scene.
Yeah.
And
then
go
the
ahead.
important part is, like, they ask Savon because, like, he's the married guy, so he's seen as, like, the wise guy in the group, I would say. So they ask him, and then he says, okay, so when men get horny, their blood goes to their penis, and the blood comes from their feet, so they can't run, and also the blood comes from their brain, so they can't think. And only a woman can think of something like this.
Only that devious.
Yeah.
Only that devious.
I love that conversation.
I loved it too. What I have to say also is, like, in this scene where they have that meeting, there's rain in the background. And in a lot of scenes in this film, there's a lot of rain and water. And you know what I mean? Like, throughout this film, it gives it, like, this very, like, insulated vibe, this very dewy sort of thing. I don't know exactly how to put my, like, the words to it. But this movie feels like you're always in somebody's living room in some sort of, like, conversation, with the characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's one of those nights where you're with friends and the conversation just keeps flowing. Yeah. And you feel very comfortable. It feels like those moments.
Yeah. This movie feels like a Drake song.
No.
It feels like a Drake song to me. It's, like, kind of dark, moody, wet. You know what I mean?
Maybe that one, like, 2:30 and
Yeah. What is that? Chicago freestyle?
Chicago freestyle.
Yes, this movie is Chicago freestyle. And Darius is Drake before Drake because he's saying all the right things women want to hear. Like, only a woman can make you feel this way. And why would God make us in his image unless he was a woman?
The poetry voice.
The poetry voice. Snap. So yeah, Nina and Darius end up going, like, on dates, and basically, they go to this Jamaican party, blah 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 blah, and I believe after that Jamaican party they hook up for the first time, and we see their very sensual kiss and sex scene in the house. Any comments on any of those things?
I like the scene, like, okay, basically they start the night with their friend's house, and then they go to, like, this reggae bar where they dance, and it gets, like, a bit flirtatious.
Yeah, and it wasn't planned, too. It was, like, impromptu.
Yeah. And, like, that also reggae bar was one of the places where I said, why don't we have this in Budapest? Because it, like, looked very dope, because I hate this, like,
yeah, they play horrible music in Budapest. It's just party rocker in the house tonight.
Yeah, or techno.
Oh, God.
But anyway, and then they go to, like, in front of Nina's house, and okay, so, like, Darius is asking, okay, can I come up or something like that, and first Nina is just, like, rejecting him because she's like, this is not the right time for me. It's not personal. And then, like, Darius looks at her and says, like, I just want to talk. And they both, like, laugh, and, like, that's the point where you know that you're, like, communicating without words, that this is gonna be some fire sex.
Because they were both feeling the heat. They both wanted it, you know what I mean? And
And it was nice to see that because I had those moments with you where we understood each other.
Yeah.
And we both felt that like sexual, incline. Yeah. And attraction. So yeah, I like that.
See, I'm old enough to remember like when that consent thing was not exactly as explicit like how it is now. Like when I first met you, I asked you if I could kiss you first, even though I felt like we were leading on to that, and it was like that attraction was there and that tension was building. But before then, when I was in my teens, early 20s, you would just say, "Come here, give me your face." Like you know what I mean? You would put your face. You wouldn't say, "Come on, give me your face," but you would put your face on her face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your lips on her. And so like the dance, like this film is about the coolness of those relationships. You don't say exactly what you mean or exactly what you're feeling. You sort of go with the flow. And that can be a positive thing because it can make you fall in love, but it can also cause those conflicts in relationships, as we'll see later.
Yeah, because there is a lot of that part of the relationship where you're flirting and there's just a lot of sex, a lot of romance, and I don't know, like everything is so nice. Yeah. And that's what makes you fall in love initially, that period. Yeah. And definitely here in the movie when you see how they are going through that period, it like makes you think of your past relationships. And it makes you feel like, nice inside.
Right. I think also, when I think about that kiss scene, and I think about, asking for a kiss and not asking for a kiss and stuff like that, maybe also for me, it's because like because this film is about black love, there's a safety in the sense that you can kiss this girl and not worry that she's going to holler rape or that this black man is being like sexually aggressive with her and stuff like that. So like, part of the reason maybe I asked you, can I kiss you first, is because of just like that safety that I need to make sure I have for myself. But in this very black love movie, it's like you don't need to do all that. Like, brother, we cool now. We cool, brother.
Brother. But no, I understand that. And we had that conversation because it was weird for me that you asked consent. And and you explained it to me, like, why you did it. So
Yeah. So the next morning, Nina wakes up and she sees skinny Larenz Tate wearing size 31 Levi jeans in her kitchen, cooking a cheese omelet with one egg. What did you think of that scene?
When we were watching it, you said, like, oh, he doing it like me.
Oh, he doing it like that? He doing it like that?
Because, like, our first night together, I woke up with a plate of, like, eggs and vegetables. And some breakfast.
Stuff I had in the fridge and cooked
some
up
slightly uncooked potatoes.
Stop the madness.
The gesture itself, like, made me, look at you in a different light at that moment. And, I mean, Darius is cute in the scene because he's, like, trying to do something nice for Nina. Yeah. And we always appreciate those little things. Yeah. Sometimes even more than, like, the sex itself.
Yeah. So then after that, Nina is in a taxi cab with her friend Josie. And also one of the most iconic scenes from this film, Josie says, "So y'all had sex." And so now she's like the curious friend. She's like, "Well, tell me everything." And so Nina says, probably an iconic line. She says, "His dick just talked to me. And it said," say it with me, Nina.
Nina.
It said Nina. I don't know what's more iconic, that line or in The Best Man when Morris Chestnut said, "Because her pussy curved to my dick." You remember that?
Okay, the best man line.
The best man line. Yeah. Both of those lines are iconic dick lines in movies for me. But I don't know. That was a very cute scene when she's in the cab with her friend, and the taxi cab driver's just looking through the back window like, "Well, okay, well, he fucked." Whatever. I want to know the details too. But basically, definitely Nina is glowing, but she's still like, I'm gonna like keep him at distance, It might be good, but I'm not gonna fall too deep. You know what I mean? But what'd you think of that scene?
Yeah, that was definitely like very cute and relatable because like I tell my best friends about like I used to at least tell my best friends about like my, sex adventures. And yeah, there are like those times where you can't really describe how good it was. And Nina described it the best. Like, I've never thought of that before, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use that now. Like, Simon's dick talked to me, girls.
And it said
Akdi. And yeah, like we all know that feeling as women, because there are some very underqualified men out there. So when we have something good, we know it's good. And yeah, like the whole scene was very like cute and also funny with the taxi driver. And I think also Nina said something like, I would break his heart or something. Because at this point, I felt like their dynamic was Nina is more experienced in relationships and she's more confident in herself. So I felt like, okay, she has like the upper hand in the relationship where Darius is just like a little bit like a kid,
Yeah. I think in this film, they're all roughly in their early to mid-20s. And still, I think women prefer maybe older men or men that are a bit more established. And Darius, he's got his little motorcycle, his leather jacket, his little apartment and stuff. But he's still maybe, to her, like a boy. And like the guy she was engaged with might be more man. He may be a bit older. He might be a bit more stable, stuff like that, have more money, just to be frank. So maybe that's why she also said that too. Like, I'll break him because this girl need nice things. I'm not a gold digger, but I like the finer things in life. That's a Tamar Braxton song.
Wow. I don't think it was financial, but I think it was more emotional type of way.
Yeah, or maybe she's just a heartbreaker.
Yeah, because it's like also her situation is that she just got out of a serious relationship, broke off an engagement.
Right.
So maybe I thought maybe she's only looking for something for fun, but Darius thinks more like serious about it.
That's true. I mean, plus also Nina is Nia Long. So it's like, he can't keep me. I'm Nia Long.
Okay. The fascination about Nia Long. But you said the best friend was more attractive than Nia Long.
No, I'm just saying, no, Josie got a butterface. Like, in this film, she has a better body than Nia Long, because in the 90s, ass wasn't invented. So, like, to be the lead girl in the film, you had to be, like, heroin chic, low-key, as much as a black woman's body could get to that. And so, the Nia Long of 2024 is finer than the Nia Long of 1997, in my opinion.
Okay, because she got, like, some...
She thickened. She
thickened.
She has thickened.
Well, how is Josie, like, her best friend is Butterface?
Because
her face is nice.
No,
she is beautiful.
No. When she stand up, it's pow, pow, pow. But when she smile, it's...
Wow. That's offensive.
I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. Somebody might say the same thing about me.
I actually agreed with you, but I didn't agree with you in the sense that she's a butterface. I thought she's completely overall better looking than Nia Long.
No, she got more body yada, but not a prettier face. Come on, Nia Long was 90s fine. Like, you had to be a fine black woman back then because makeup was not invented for black women back then. Like,
most black women don't need makeup that much.
Exactly. But you had to be 90s fine to shine on camera. Like, there's a difference. Okay. It's a difference. Fenty was not around. There was nothing for you. You had Vaseline and cocoa butter.
Wow.
You had to make it work. That's all you had. You had a bad silk press. you had to have a badass body, a good silk press, Vaseline, cocoa butter. And
wow. I also remember that for the sex scene in this movie, you said like they ordered a gallon of cocoa butter.
Yes, because they were just glimmering. They were shining in the light. It should look like my legs in the summertime, just glittering.
You never moisturize your legs.
I'm talking about back when I used to lotion up. You know what I mean? When you'd be outside with your lotion,
I miss those days, even though I never.
You know what? I'm a lotion my entire body. Since you continued on to throw shade on me, calling me Ashy Larry, saying when I clap dust comes out, all that sort of mean shit you be saying.
I did not say those things.
All that mean shit, I'm gonna start lotioning up every time. Anyway, where were we in this film? I don't know exactly. I think essentially, Nia and Darius, they just start hanging out. They start chilling. They start
fucking everywhere.
Yeah, like the old Chris Rock joke in his stand-up. When you first go out, you eat and you have sex. You eat and fuck. Then you go out and then you eat and then you fuck again. And that's all they're doing, just all in the crib, just everywhere. So they're hanging out and stuff like that. But then Nia, one day, gets a knock on the door, and guess who it is? Khalil Kane, a.k.a. her ex-boyfriend, played as Marvin Cox. Marvin Cox is a character played by Khalil Kane. He shows up at the door, and he's like, Nina, I miss you. Come to New York. I got these train tickets for you. And so, yeah. What did you think about that?
I was like, it's a trouble because her ex-fiance is also fire looking.
Okay, all right, okay.
With the big suit. He shows up. So it's like, oh girl, what are you going to do now? But yeah, I felt like there wasn't any potential even from the way that he was acting towards her and that she was like acting towards him. So yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it felt like their relationship was already broken a lot.
But Nina still is entertaining it. Yeah. You know, she looks at him in a certain type of way and says, you know, I'll think about it, and then he leaves with her with the tickets and stuff like that. She talks to Josie, and Josie says, you know, why don't you just go and figure it out? And Nina's like, I don't want to lie to Darius. And she says, don't lie, just tell him the truth, but be honest and follow your heart and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of mind games. Like, even though she's being honest about what she's doing, like, her friend Josie also says, like, okay, if he says that he's cool and he doesn't really care about it, then you can let Darius go. Mm-hmm. But if he's, like, you know, worried about you and the situation, if he doesn't want you to go, then he cares about you. Mm-hmm. That means he's a keeper. Yeah. So it's a little bit of mind games as well, but at least she's honest. And I think it feels like, I'm just assuming, we don't know their relationship with Marvin, but since they were planning to get engaged, I think they had a long relationship, like a long-term relationship. And when you put so much effort for all those years into a relationship, it's very hard to just like break it off.
I have a hint. This is my theory. We don't have background, but my theory is that Nina might have fucked up her relationship with Marvin, and then he left. And the reason I think that is because Josie, if she was really her friend, wouldn't say, hey, go and try to figure out whatever you have going on with this dude that just left you at the altar. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like with your girlfriends, if I did something crazy and then I came back, they would all be like, oh, hell no. But they would only tell you to come and work shit out with me if, like, it was more complicated or if it was reasonably argued that it could be your fault why we broke up. You get what I'm saying? Because the way Josie acts, it's not like she's saying like, oh, fuck that nigga. You got a whole new man now. Leave his ass in the dust. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's also like, it doesn't have to be that way, I think. Because if you know your friend is going to do whatever she wants to do, and if you know your friend has to like reach to a conclusion or wants to see that guy again, you're not going to say something like that. Like, you can, but you know your friend is not going to take you seriously. So instead, you just give her advice depending on what she could do in the situation that she wants to do, if that makes sense.
No, I feel like a real friend, most friends, if they know a friend left a really bad relationship and they saw them get hurt, they would never tell them to go back to them.
Yeah, but of course you don't want your friend to go back to them, but you also understand like the dilemma that your friend is in, where she feels like she put a lot of work and effort into the relationship. Even if she made a mistake, it doesn't change the fact that she worked for the relationship. And you understand that that's something hard to let go of. That's where like it comes from, the understanding of how hard it is to do that.
Well, the main scene that I think lays the conflict for this film is basically one night after Nina and Darius have sex. You know, Nina says, you know, I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. I got to follow up on some leads, some jobs. And I also have this guy that I want to see and figure out, you know, what's going on with that. And so, you know, she says, is that okay? And he's like, that's cool. He's like, that's all right. And she's like, you're not going to be mad? He's like, nah, go ahead, do you, boo. And so then, she leaves. And, she goes to New York, and he's still hanging around Chicago. He's also hanging around Savan, who recently had his wife leave him. And so Savan is just like playing pool and drinking all the time and just being a vagabond. And Darius is like, she's going to do that, then I'm going to do me. There's this scene where Darius sits down with Savan and he tells her, I think she's the one. And Savan is like, really? And he's like, nah, I'm just playing, man. I got your ass, huh? And so, what did you think of those scenes?
I think, there's a fault in both of them in that scene. First, with I think, 60% it's Darius's fault because he was talking to her married friend, Savan, and to his married friend, Savan, and he was saying, what do you think about marriage? How do you think you're happy with your partner? And, sort of, insinuating that Nina could be someone, long term for him, basically. But when Nina broke him the news, he played it cool and then didn't say anything what about us? We have something precious. What are you going to do with him? Or ask any sort of questions about him. He wasn't concerned with any of that, which kind of makes a woman feel he doesn't care if I fuck another dude, if I'm with another dude.
Yeah.
It sort of creates that impression. And for Nina, if I was in her place, I would first talk about my past relationship and then tell, the guy that, okay, so this is something I have to figure out and conclude and have a closure. And that's why I need to do this. And then look at their reaction after I explain the whole thing.
Now,
so I don't think Nina dwelled on it that much, and she should have.
Now, first and foremost, I'm gonna just say I think Nina was wrong for even entertaining the idea of it, because going and saying I need to lay up and sleep with this other dude.
Nobody said that.
Most likely, come on, man. That's what she was gonna do. The guy bought her a ticket. She's gonna stay at her apartment, and they were sleeping in the same bed, as we see later.
Yeah, it might have developed that way, but I don't think in her head it was I'm gonna sleep with him.
You can't tell me two people that were engaged, they used to fuck, and now they're gonna be in the same house they're not gonna do it again. And I'm not trying to say this is all about sex, but that's a part of it, because she's now laying up with somebody else and now is going to lay down somebody else that from her past. That's kind of nasty. You're messing up fluids and stuff like that. You're bouncing back and forth between two dudes. And I would say this is gross too for a guy to do too. Saying oh, my ex just came in my life. Let me go sleep over at her crib while I try to figure out if I still like her. But trust me, we'll figure out our stuff too. That's crazy.
Yes, I understand that. But at the same time, she has the liberty to do that. And they're still in the beginning of their relationship with Darius.
Right.
And she was also testing Darius to a degree. And Darius failed that test.
But that's a wild test. See, I hate when women test. You should... Don't... No.
No, it wasn't okay, I'm going to do this just to test Darius.
Right, but...
It wasn't like that. But she's okay, I have this situation. I have to deal with it. And then I'm gonna tell Darius, I don't know how is he gonna react, but his reaction is gonna determine, how he views our relationship a little bit.
Okay.
It's like that. It's not an exam.
Okay. I know Darius is not a Turkish man, because a Turkish man would have been oh hell no, right? So, but I'm gonna say this: if she wanted Darius to get on his knees in the rain like an R&B video, don't go, and rip his shirt and stuff like that. That's not gonna happen because he's a cool player. You shouldn't even be making those types of moves, baby. What is you doing?
Simon, if you told me that you were gonna go see your ex because you have to figure out shit when we were dating, I would tell you, I don't know if I feel comfortable about that. So if you do make that decision, then we're going to have to talk afterwards about what happened. And you have to be completely transparent with me. I would talk to you in depth about the situation.
Right.
I wouldn't just say, oh, it's cool. Or I wouldn't just say, you can't go.
Right. That is a bit of Darius's fault, but I think it's even more of her fault to even entertain that, because not about the Darius part, but just for the fact that this guy left her before they had a whole engagement. You had to uproot your life. You moved out of your apartment and stuff like that. And so the niggas show up in a large, oversized Brooks Brothers suit, and you just want to say, I guess I'll go to New York. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, but at the same time, are you going to choose someone you have history with, possibly multiple years? Or are you going to choose someone you know for 2 weeks?
That's true. I mean, they were just smashing. They were just really smashing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is a point to make. But I think to even tell Darius that it should have been more like, Darius, I don't think we should see each other anymore, rather than I'm gonna go to New York and see this guy and leave it open ended. Because the way she did it, she said like, I gotta go figure this out, and us is sort of like in the air, and you're expecting Darius to sort of like fill in the blank. Like, you should say, no, like, we're gonna have to end this because I still got other things here, and I don't want you to be like this. To me, that's...
But she was... Yeah, I know this is bad, but she was like trying to keep him in her pocket as well, a little bit.
Yeah, like, exactly. That's not cool. That's player shit. That's the type of shit you hate dudes doing.
Yeah, no, that's fucked up. But I'm saying, I think if Darius sort of wasn't cool about it, and if he voiced it, then they could have worked it out.
Right.
In a way where they would either break up or they would make it an open situation where she could say, okay, like, you're also free to do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And then she wouldn't have any rights to blame him later. Right.
This is like a Ross, Rachel, are they or are they not on a break, and what are the rules of a break situation, whatever. Like, it's kind of silly, but I just want to bring this back into real life because we're talking about two fictional characters' relationship. But from this fictional story, we can give advice to anybody out there in a relationship. When you're with one person having sex, in my opinion, I think you should let the other person know that unless they want to be in that open relationship, y'all should, cut that off to not have any tangled up feelings and messiness. Because I feel like Nina's situation worked out fine in the end, as we see in this movie, but it could have got really nasty and messy, by leaving that door open the way it was.
I think the most important thing to get from this dynamic is that just communicate everything that you're feeling and thinking in order to not get tangled up in a mess later.
Right. But I think this movie is not that nice to Nina when we break it down more. So essentially, like, Nina goes to New York. She's with the guy. She's not getting the job she wants, and also
the guy's an asshole. Yeah,
the guy gets into a fight with her over cereal, which is actually understandable.
No, it's like Nina is telling him, like, I don't think like this could work out anymore and something like that, and then he's saying, I'm gonna get Captain Crunch from the market. Like, bro, I'm telling you that I'm breaking up with you and you're doing what?
Fighting over cereal, bruh. And then he wakes up the next morning with her engagement ring on his pinky, and he's like, fuck, over cereal? Yeah, it was worth it, bruh.
Wow.
But anyway, so Nina like comes back to Chicago, and basically she's doing like a photo shoot when one day Wood pops up at her studio.
Before that,
what happened?
She sees Darius with this one girl Darius hooked up with.
Oh yeah, so yeah, she comes back to Chicago, and she's apparently in Chicago. Everybody knows everybody, right? So there's only like 10 people in Chicago, and all the black people know each other. So she looks out the CD store window when she's looking for Isley Brothers CDs, and sees Darius with Beyonce, and Beyonce Coles. So yeah. Basically, though, Nina ends up hooking up with Bill Bellamy's character, Hollywood, or Wood.
Okay. Let's not just, like, jump to conclusions.
I'm not jumping to it, but basically Wood comes on to her and says, can we have a date? I just want to have one dinner with you. They end up going to dinner, and they end up hooking up. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. I feel like Nina's thing is like first rejecting the guys and then like saying yes. Because that's also what she did with Darius. And then that's what she did with this guy, because this guy said, it's just one dinner. Like, it's nothing.
Right.
And I think she liked hanging out with Wood because Wood is like funny and chill and confident. So I think that's the reason why she felt like good around Wood. But we don't necessarily know if they ever hooked up. We didn't even see them
They
kiss.
They hooked up, man.
We don't know that. Why would you just assume that about Nina?
Because, all right, so Darius finds out because he gets a call one day, and he said, "Man, have you heard Wood's out here hanging out with Nina?" And so then Wood comes to the club one day where Darius is at, and they have this, standoff where they're talking about, "I heard you got a new job, brother." "Yeah, I got a job. It's a new one. I work it out all night long." And Darius is like, "Yeah, I used to work that job too. Night shifts, long, hard night shifts. But I heard, brother, that you can't keep a job. I also heard you can't keep a job too, brother. Well, I'll see you later, black man. Peace." And so they have this whole, really cool conversation. I like that scene. I like that scene a lot.
It's like passive aggressive.
Very passive aggressive. Poetry beef. That's how poets beef.
Yeah, it's like metaphorical, passive aggressive battle.
Yeah. That's how Tupac and Biggie would beef, like if they were born in like the 16th century. But yeah, I think he hit it. I don't
think so, because I don't think right after like that whole thing happened in New York, I don't think Nina would just go and be with Darius's friend like that. I think she was testing the waters, like just to see if, okay, this guy is interested in me, so maybe something could happen, but it's unlikely, but he's insisting, so I'll just try it out.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. I think that's what she was thinking, but I don't think she wanted to, at least now, wanted to go further than just date.
I think she wanted to have sex in the hearse, because Wood drives a hearse.
Oh.
He drives a long funeral car.
No.
So she's just like, yeah, that sounds freaky. Like, why not?
I mean, she was just like hanging out and having fun.
Yeah, she was just hanging out, but Wood is definitely wrong for trying to sleep with his homie's ex, even if that wasn't an official ex, like his past work. You know what I mean?
I think Wood has more fault than Nina in here, because he should be the most loyal to their relationship with Darius, not her. Because she's an outsider.
She's an outsider in the group. And yeah, we don't really know how long Wood and Darius have been friends, but I would assume, they probably have known each other for some good time. Right? But anyway, there's later on in the film, basically, I'm skipping past all like the Savan storylines too, because like there's this other storyline in the film about Savan loving his wife, not loving his wife. We never hear his wife's side of the story, because Savan might be a whole cheater outside,
Yeah.
Who knows, who cares. Basically, there's this house party one day where all the people there are partying: Darius, Sheila, Eddie, and Savan. And while Darius is away in the kitchen, Wood shows up with Nina as the date to the party, and all the friends are like, "Oh, come on, man, you shouldn't have did that." And so Darius comes back outside, and Nina is upstairs in the bathroom, and when she sees that Darius is downstairs with Wood, she tells Wood, "We need to talk outside right now." They have a big fight outside, and Nina says, "Take me home," and Wood is like, "Hell no." And so he leaves her outside to walk home. Darius runs outside to go get her and get her a payphone, and go to a payphone to call her a taxi. They go get the taxi. I believe they go home that night, and then they have sex again and they hook up.
Okay, so like the party scene, I think the one important thing of the Savan subplot is that like we see Savan struggling with fighting with his wife, and he's the only married man in the group, right? And I think it's somewhat has an effect on Darian, because he sees this role model of a guy that he trusts. He's his friend, but he's like having, problems in his relationship. He might potentially be cheating on his wife because he shows up with another woman, but he just says like, "I'm just working with her," and something like that. So I feel like Darius is just like, if this is how I'm gonna end up, then I don't want to pursue this, in the back of his head. Like that's never voiced. I wish they put more emphasis on their conversations like that, and that sort of like being scared of ending up in a relationship that would end up in divorce, because I feel like we've had those fears about each other as well. And especially like when we met in Serbia, and you decided to come to Turkey with me. That move was very big, and we had to take that leap of faith, basically.
The Savan storyline could have served a bigger purpose. I mean, it does make you think about it, because I guess you can fill in the blanks without knowing the details. But it could have showed, the other side of love. Y'all are fucking and having fun right now, but what about the kids, the mortgage, the car, the job? You know what I mean? Keeping the romance alive. So there was that other half of the movie that could have been explored a bit more.
Yeah. And with Wood and like his relationship with Nina, it feels like he sort of also did it to show off in the friend group. Like, he made it into a competition of sorts, of like, you got the girl, but I can also get the girl as well.
Yeah.
And, you think you're cool and a poet guy, but I can also like have my way with the ladies and that sort of thing. And that pissed Nina off. That pissed Darius off?
Or did that piss Nina off?
Both of them.
Mm.
But I think that's why Nina just cut off the relationship with Wood at that point, because she said something like
he's being
you can
ridiculous.
have this like competition without me of like who has the biggest dick, basically. But we were expecting that they would somehow rekindle, I think. And it sort of feels like Destiny-ish.
Yeah. Once again, to bring this all to reality, because we're going very deep into this fictional relationship, but there is a way to incorporate exes into friend groups, especially when it's a tricky situation like that. Like, we can all be adults and be like, okay, it might not have worked out with Bob and Katie, but I can still date Katie and still be friends with Bob. Like, we can still work that out. It's messy. There's a way to do it, but the way to do it is not the way that Wood did it in this film, which is basically like, hey, surprise, I brought your ex here. Remember all these people?
Yeah. I think that happens in like very small amounts of relationships.
Yeah.
Because people usually cannot handle that type of situation.
Yeah.
And if it happens like very gradually.
Yeah, but it's possible. I mean,
Yeah.
There's people, that have their baby mamas all hang out together,
Yeah.
right? There's a TV show right now where there's a woman, she's got 3 husbands, and we watch it sometimes. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can make any situationship work.
Yeah.
But you have to have some finesse and class with it. And basically, I think Wood was trying to like play Nina like a hoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what this group of people are saying about you. You know what I mean? Even Sheila might be acting nice, but she's like, this little slut. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would feel the same way if I was Sheila, too. Like, why is she dating both of my friends,
Yeah. It looks crazy.
Yeah.
It looks absolutely crazy. Sheila should have pulled Nina to the side and said, these men ain't shit.
Girl, you better get yourself out of here.
Get yourself out of here before Eddie try it next. Savan just lost his wife. He might be eyeing you too. So, yeah, I got the story a bit wrong. After, Wood ditches Nina, Darius and Nina walk to the payphone. They have a big argument, but then they both go home that night and then call each other and apologize. Then there's this cute scene where they go to like the auntie and uncle dance where they like two-stepping in the wingtip shoes and the suede suits and stuff like that. There was this one uncle in the background who was really getting down. He was breaking a leg. He was jigging all over that thing. And so, yeah, basically, they rekindled their love. They have like this very heart-to-heart moment on the beach and kiss. Then they have this scene where they're at Nina's apartment and she's like, we're not going to have sex. You're going to stay down here on the couch and I'm going to go upstairs to sleep. But they're both so damn horny that they can't sleep. They feel the heat, and Darius ends up creeping upstairs and basically like jumping in bed with her, and they start, getting it on. You know what I mean? And so, there's like a rekindling of their romance. They start kissing on each other, making love all the time, listening to music, stuff like that. And they're going back out and listening to poetry. Wood is on the outside, but in their relationship, there's still like some tension brewing and stuff like that. Like Darius is getting calls in the morning from the girl he used to date. He still keeps her number like on his bulletin board, and Nina feels like he still secretly wants to be with this girl or likes this girl. That causes her to have like this big fight with him, and he basically says like, I'm sick of this shit. If you don't trust me, then you can leave, get your shit and leave and get gone. And so yeah, they essentially break up, and she takes all of her stuff out of the house one day, and he says, that's cool, I'll see you, peace. And so yeah, what'd you think about all of those scenes?
Okay, so first the breakup sex, right, and the breakup flirtation periods. Like it was very cute, and the type of like things that they do around the city in the 90s is like the perfect social calendar that I want. Like they go like, I don't know, jazz dancing and something like
Poetry
that.
Slam night.
Poetry slam nights.
Right.
And
walks in Central
running
Park.
around in the park.
Yeah.
It's
being
Chicago.
chased. Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. Getting chased in like Chicago Park.
Yeah.
You said that scene was like so Turkish.
It is, because we have like literally the same scene in like old Turkish movies.
That was so funny. I might make that the thumbnail when he was literally chasing Nina through the park, smiling, giggling.
Yeah.
That was too funny.
And it's like, you know, in those periods of the relationship, you feel like there's nothing that could break you up, nothing that could like damage your relationship and things like that. And the sex is great and everything, right? That's hilarious. We're just looking at that scene again. But anyway, yeah, basically like as they start to somewhat like live together, they're not living together, but they're staying in each other's houses a lot.
Yeah.
I think like the first issue that broke them up sort of like resurfaces itself, because like Nina says something like, oh, do you even want to know if I had sex with your friend? And Darius is still like, I don't want to know the answer of that question, something like that, you know. And I think it just still gives that impression of like, oh, you don't even care like if that happened, so like what is it? I
mean, isn't that a good thing? Because doesn't that mean Darius isn't caught up in the sex? He's caught up more in like, did you have an emotional attachment to this guy? It's
not a good thing when it's combined with other shit that Darius does and have, because he also has the number of Lisa in his bulletin board.
Right.
So it's like, oh, is this something just like temporary for you? You know, are you just like, you know, playing me? It feels like that when a guy doesn't want to know anything about like you, basically. And yeah, and also like there's certain things like when he's working, Nina asks him a question and he just like dismisses her like with a rude hand gesture and things like that. I think those little things like just pile up for Nina,
right? And
she snaps at the end, and I just feel like Darius is so annoying in this part, because like, okay, they're breaking up and Darius is just playing too cool, like extremely cool. He's not saying anything. Like, he's just acting like they were roommates.
Yeah.
And, like, she's moving out. That's how he's acting.
Now, Darius is wild for still keeping the girl's number on the bulletin board. Like, if anything, if you're going to keep it, put it in the desk or something, at least. It's just wildly disrespectful to, like, put it right in the woman's face. But he might have also kept it there to be like, don't you ever, you know, don't forget. You know what I mean? You're irreplaceable.
Oh, you don't like when we test you, but you could do that.
I'm just saying, you're up in my crib. We didn't live together yet. I didn't rearrange nothing, so don't touch nothing.
That's fucked up.
I'm just saying.
Because, like, if you think about it like that, Nia Long then could get any guy.
Yes, Nia Long can.
Nia Long can, yes.
But Nina, she got Darius.
No, but she's also, like, a beautiful woman. So it's like, who does he think he is?
Yeah. No, it's, I think maybe she was a bit overreacting, though he is doing some shady shit, like waking up in the morning, getting calls and stuff, and keeping the number. I could understand, but, you know, maybe he still feels like this girl did leave me for her ex. She might do that again. And even though she might pop up in the house and give me head in the kitchen, it's not, you know, it's still a bit shaky. You know what I mean? Because they're still fucking. Like, there never is a point in this film where they say, we're a thing. You know, it's always just... it's a thing, You know, we're in something.
It's constantly a situationship.
It's constantly a situationship. Undefined, influx, fluid, moving, going with the flow, you know? So that's what makes probably Darius feel like, well, if we're just grooving, I can just, you know, I don't have to change. I can chill, you know?
And I also hate the fact that I know that Darius didn't exactly cheat on her because they were never established. And she also went to see her ex, so it's understandable that maybe Darius had like a one night stand or whatever. But at the same time, like if then later Nia doesn't trust him, then he has to understand where it's coming from. I hate it when guys are like, I don't understand why you don't trust me. If you don't trust me, then you should just leave.
Right.
Like, how about you make me trust you then, motherfucker? You know? Like, there has been stuff that happened, and that has led to me not trusting you. It's not like we wake up one day out of the blue and say, we don't trust this man, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like he was cheating on her.
Yeah.
He's not a cheater. He's just doing shady stuff. And, like, generally, when you're with a woman, you want to try to be as least shady as possible, right? Or non-shady at all.
When you're with any human being as a partner, in a relationship.
Well, I'm talking about heterosexual relationships, of course.
Yeah,
right?
But, you know, if you're, what is that called? Like, in a one-partner relationship? Monogamous relationship, then, yeah, you should not do shady shit.
Okay.
It's not about acting not shady.
But
it's about not doing shady.
But sometimes people interpret shit as shady that's not really shady. Like if there's a text message on my phone and it's you happen to look and you see it's a woman right there, you might automatically think, oh, he's up to some shit. But that might be somebody I know from work or school or whatever, right?
Yeah, you know in those situations, I ask you who it is, and then you answer me. Right. And then depending on your answer, most of the time, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
And yeah. And then if I feel like there's still some shady shit you're telling me,
right,
then I would like ask more questions.
Once again, the film is about being too cool, and I think in this case, Nina was trying to be too cool until it exploded because she noticed her dude was doing shady shit and she didn't know how to express it. You know what I mean? Just the same way he couldn't express, hey, don't go to New York with your ex.
Yeah.
So, yeah, essentially, they have that big fight, and the movie continues to progress. You know, Darius is like sort of like lost in the world, talking to his homie Eddie about what to do and what love is. Savan gets his wife back, though we don't know how, and he actually kind of looks very pissed his wife is back. Darius continues to write his novel, and he continues to like slam his typewriter on the ground until 300 pages come out. And eventually, you know, he gets a phone call one day saying, hey, bruh, Nina's about to go to New York. You might want to go see her tomorrow. So Darius, you know, does the cliche thing. He like runs in the train station to chase after Nina. And while she's on the train, he's like yelling out the window, but she don't hear him for nothing. And so, yeah, the movie then fast forwards to like 1 year later, you know, after Darius like knocked down people running down the wrong escalator and like killed 30 people just to chase after the train. You know, he somehow got out of prison and he got out of prison and he finally finished his book. You know, he's celebrating with the homies. Nina is in New York shooting naked niggas in underwear. Wow. shooting for big dick 12 calendar posters. And so yeah, they're both very successful now in their puppy careers. And, you know, he hasn't contacted her. And people are asking, hey, have you thought about calling Nina? He's like, nah, man, I'm cool. Cool, brother.
I mean, this is where he explains, like, he basically says that he wrote letters to Nina, but he never sent them.
Yeah.
Because he said that he would sound stupid.
Yeah. I'm too cool, man.
Yeah, so we basically know, like, he got social anxiety disorder.
He doesn't want to seem like a dweeb.
Yeah.
But see, it all worked out in the end because a year later, Nina shows up to the same nightclub where they do the jazz poetry, and she sees that Darius has finally published his book called Gypsy Eyes, which is very cancelable. I feel very gross just even saying that. Oh, wow. God. That's worse than the book that I read called Nigger Toes.
What the hell?
So basically, at the poetry night, she comes there and she's looking for Darius, but she doesn't see him. And she ends up doing this poem that I believe is by Sonia Sanchez.
No, that's her own no?
Oh, that's her own poem? I think it was written by Sonia Sanchez because some of the poems are written by...
I mean, in the movie, they make it seem like she wrote it, but I don't know if it's originally Sanchez's poem.
Okay. Either way, she recites a poem talking about what it feels like to be in love, and being in love is like being in light. And she leaves the cafe and gets caught in the rain in the taxi, and Darius is out there to meet her, and he says, "Nice poem, sister. That was cool." And so, he says, I didn't stop thinking about you. I loved you. I've always... Did he say I love you?
Yes.
He said I love you?
Yes.
And they, basically had this very romantic kiss in the rain while the movie, fades to black. And now fades to black and white, right? And this very, very passionate kiss in the rain. So, yeah.
I mean, I was kind of surprised that he didn't make it to the train because I thought he was gonna make it to the train. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I like that they did 1 year later because since the beginning, Nina was saying that you always find the wrong times to approach and do things. Mm. So I feel like now they proceeded to the right time a little bit, and they're both more clear with their mindset and maybe a bit more grown, and they took their what happened in their relationships and sort of used that to grow, which is okay, Nina has her poem about it, and Darius has his book, etc., etc. It was cool that she read a poem for him at the end. And finally, Darius said what he's feeling. Mm-hmm. Thank God he didn't say, "I'm cool."
He finally did. He let his feelings out by saying these exact words. He said, "This right here is urgent to me. It's more urgent than a motherfucker."
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
That's what I knew. The O-Dog did not come out of him. He was still in his previous role from Menace to Society. "I love you, Nina, like a motherfucker."
Yeah, that was a bit cringe. I'm not gonna lie.
I liked it. I think it's real. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when I'm talking to you and I tell you how much I love you, I say, "Girl, I love the shit out of you." Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's real. Some people talk like that. And that doesn't take away from the power of the scene and that final kiss and how everything's sort of wrapped up in a bow. Kind of. It kind of wraps up.
It's after, okay, so they kiss one time after Darius declares his love for Nina. And then Nina says, "So what are we going to do now? I live in New York, you live in Chicago. What is the first step?"
Yeah.
And then Darius says, "First step is getting out of the rain, girl." And he kisses her again. And that's how the movie fades, right?
Yeah.
So it's is it still a situationship?
It's still a situationship. It's not going to end with them just getting married and them living in one place or the other. They both have their careers to think about.
Yeah.
Maybe for Darius it's easier because he's a writer, so he can work anywhere, but who knows?
It made me feel a little bit they did that because they were maybe planning to do a sequel, but they never got to it. I don't know, but that's how it felt a little bit to me. Yeah. The next movie we're going to see them trying to do long distance or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they'll just go back to fucking and eating and fucking, not getting flown out and fucking.
Wow.
Flown out and fucking. Wow. I don't know. But now that we talked about this film, it made me appreciate it even more. There's a lot to break down, but it's still a very gentle movie, simple movie. It makes you appreciate poetry in it. After you watch this, it makes you want to snap. Listen to some Lauryn Hill, some Common, some fucking Mos Def.
It ends with a Lauryn Hill song.
It ends with a beautiful Lauryn Hill song. The soundtrack to this movie is absolutely fire. That's a good 90s R&B study vibe. So yeah, overall, I give this film, I give it an 8. I give it a solid 8. Yeah, it's a classic. It's classic in the sense it's a classic rom-dram. It is top down, top to bottom. Not revolutionary at all, not outside the box, but it is good overall in its execution. And I'm not asking a lot from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It captures a specific moment in time that's hard to ever recapture again. And it's just moving. It's a very moving film. Sort of like Casablanca, right? Like Casablanca, you know, captures a certain moment in time and has a lot of feelings attached to it. And I'm not going to, you know, discount it just because a lot of people might have nostalgia for it, you know, for what it represents. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we're both increasing our scores from last night. I'm going to give it a 7. Like you said, I think it's a very good rom-dram. A lot of good scenery. Cinematography was great because of the scenery, like the decor, the music, the people, the fashion, and everything. I think like that carries a lot of the movie. Like you said, story is simple, and there are things to be discovered within the characters and some of the events that happen. I wish that they did that, especially with Savon. But yeah, like I definitely enjoyed it. It's cozy. It makes you feel, it takes you back. It makes you feel nostalgic. Yeah, that's why I'm giving it a 7.
Yeah. So, I think this is all I got to say about the film. And I encourage y'all to watch it if you're looking for something to watch with your boo, laid up, cuddling, if she hasn't seen it before. This has been episode 95 of Simon and Akdi Movie Reviews. If you have a film you want us to review, put it in the chat and let us know what you think about this film in the comment section. We're waiting for Akdi's phone to get here. She's got a new phone on the way. That's why we're not doing them on Fanbase or any other live streaming site. But we want to hear other people in the conversation. So if you want to be involved, follow me on Fanbase, Laji Amriki, and also Akdi, AKDI. And also go subscribe to Backpack Bandits, our travel channel as well. Any more words before we get out of here?
No.
All right, y'all be easy out there, and peace.